guys, I'm so excited about this week's video and sunrise sessions. If you're a photographer that's not offering sunrise sessions, or if you're a photographer that's tried sunrise sessions and they just haven't quite worked out, I'm excited to share my tips, tricks, reasons why I think you should be, and how to improve your sessions. So let's get started. So I absolutely love sunrise sessions. They are, dare I say, my favorite. Everybody thinks that like sunset sessions are like it. Like, okay, so first of all, obviously, there's shooting during the golden hour. There are two golden hours. There's the sunrise golden hour, there's the sunset golden hour. Everybody shoots at the sunset golden hour, and I do too, and I love it, and it's great. The lighting's beautiful and soft, and I love it. But why is no one talking about sunrise sessions? They are awesome. I love them. They are so, so good. I don't know a lot of people that offer sunrise sessions, and I encourage most of, if not all of my seniors to book. Yeah, I suggest to my seniors, book a sunrise session. They are awesome. If you can make it work, do it. I want to share some tips and tricks with you so that way when you get to your sunrise session, you can have success with it instead of walking away feeling like, not so sure that went well. So first things first, let's get started on the benefits. One of the number one reasons why I love sunrise sessions is because it's quiet. It is a different kind of quiet in the morning than it is at sunset. Just in like daily life. So like, don't even talk about photography, but like you just get up, it's just different. Like there's like this certain peace that comes over and it's just like calm and serene. And I feel that at sunrise sessions and I love it. Gosh, it sounds poetic because it kind of is, but it is awesome. And I have found that that peace translates into a great session. And if you shoot at sunrise during most of the times of the year, it's gonna be early. You know, people aren't out. Even if I would do something on a weekday, people aren't out. But normally sunrise sessions I do on a Saturday morning, people aren't gonna be out at 6 a.m. And that might be a reason why people say, I don't want to do that, but people aren't out. And so that can make your client and you feel a lot more comfortable. And one thing that stresses my clients out, it's when we're in a location that has a lot of cars, you know, a place that would normally be really high traffic, and there's just only, you know, a few people around. It just makes it a lot easier. But anyways, I think it's such a great tip and it calms people down and it brings peace to your session in general. I also think another kind of tidbit of that is that when you get to a session in the evening, your clients are bringing in a busy day, and that can sometimes be some emotional craziness. Let's be real. You know, maybe you've had that situation where you're trying to get to a party or a get together and you're like running and grabbing everything, and then when you get there, you're like, oh my gosh, we're finally here. So I think similarly, it can be like that for your session, where it's like they've had a busy day, they're like trying to scramble to get to your session, and they're like, okay, we're finally here. Whereas in the morning, like obviously, yes, they still have to get ready, but in the morning, they just get ready and then they're there. And they don't have a lot of things weighing on their mind from everything else that's happened during the day. They're starting fresh. It's an easy way of getting a fresh, clean slate walking into your session. And it's awesome, and I'm telling you, you can tell. I've also found that a morning session, a sunrise session, is awesome for busy people. Sometimes when you talk about weekend dates, maybe you're a photographer that only offers weekend sessions because you have a full-time job, or maybe you're just trying to make the most of your schedule. I think a sunrise session is awesome for you because it obviously, you know, does a session in the morning and then you have the rest of the day, or you have a good chunk of your day and then you could do a sunset session. But even for clients who are super, super busy, if you say, hey, the sunrise, you know, it starts at this time, you know, please arrive to this location at 6:30 in the morning, you'll be done by 8:30. You'll have the rest of the day to do whatever you want. That, honestly, for busy people, that is like music to their ears. Like, ooh, 8:30. That's still a lot of time. And on most weekends, 8:30 is still pretty early in the morning. So I found that that is a really great point for people who just can't quite find time for a session, but they really, really want one. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and share some things that you should consider because I have made these mistakes before and I don't want you to get to a session and make these mistakes too. So the first thing is that the light, obviously, I'm just gonna start with saying that, obviously, the light goes from dark to bright. That just means everything is gonna be in reverse. What that, you know, kind of looks like is when I do a sunset session, I like to start with a place that's gonna probably give me some shade coverage, because if I shoot a session, if I start my session a few hours before sunset, it's gonna be pretty bright, you know? And so I don't want it to be super washed out in my pictures. I wanna have some shade that my clients can stand in. And so I start with kind of more of a shaded area. And then at the end of the session, when it's a nice soft light, then I might go into a big open space, an open field that lots of light's getting in. And that way it's not, you know, at that point, the light has softened and it's a lot prettier. Switch that around. At sunrise, you're gonna need to start at an area that is a lot more open if you are doing that, because at the end of your session, it is gonna be really, really bright. The first few times I did sunrise sessions, I didn't realize how bright it gets. Oh my goodness. I just kind of thought like, oh, like it doesn't really, I think I didn't really get up in the mornings. And I didn't really know that it got that bright that quick. And so I was like, oh, we got plenty of time. And what I didn't realize is that the soft light in the morning, for some reason, it feels like it goes so much faster. I don't know if that's like anything technical. I'm not weather genius, but it really does, at least from a shooting perspective, it feels like it goes a lot faster, and you have that really nice, pretty soft light, and then all of a sudden it's harsh light. And it's, I mean, it's not like middle of the day harsh light, but it definitely is strong. And you need to consider that when you're picking your locations, that towards the end of the session, being in a bright open field is probably not where you want to be at least for my style of shooting. That's not where I want to end a sunrise session at. Okay, this one's almost embarrassing. The sunrise is in the east. The first time I did a sunrise session, it actually was with my sisters, so I'm just gonna put that out there that like it wasn't a paid session. I was like, hey girls, let's go and let's like get up early tomorrow, and I convinced them to get up really early, get ready, and do a sunrise session. They were all in for it, and it was awesome. We got up, we got ready, and I had these like spots in my mind. We got there and I was like, these are the places that I use for sunset, and I like to shoot with the sun behind like my subject. And I was like, they're squinting right into the sun. Like what I had planned did not work, because obviously sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so I needed to like flip-flop. Like where I was standing at, they need to be standing at, and we needed to switch spots. Luckily it was just my sisters, and I was like, whoops, I didn't realize that. But I am so glad that I tried that out on a free session, which, may I just say, if you're trying out a new thing, don't use that on a paying client. Do not try that out. Have someone come in and say, hey, I'm trying out some new locations. Can you come in and join me? Feel confident about that before you bring that to a paying client. But anyways, I had brought my sisters out to this location, and we ended up getting a lot of really cute pictures, and I love the photos from it. But it was frustrating when I got there in the moment, and I was like, oh my goodness. So any spot that you have for sunsets probably is not going to work for sunrise if you shoot natural light the same way that I do. So you need to kind of think about that. So I do have certain locations that I know are amazing sunrise locations. I do have spots that are amazing sunset spots. And I do have some locations that can we can double as both because just of how the area is set up. But I do have some that are specific, just sunrise, just sunset. And if someone says, hey, I really want to do that location, I say, hey, that location is best at sunrise. So if you're wanting that, make sure you book a sunrise session. So I like to share that with my clients because I want them to know. I always say, I was like, we can't really change what the sun decides to do. It's very frustrating, but we cannot change it. We just have to go with it, and that is totally fine. Obviously, you need to learn how to control light, but we can't change where the sun rises and where the sun sets. We just kind of have to adapt to it and figure things out. Okay, so the last point is one that really frustrates me, honestly, the weather. So that is something that you need to consider when doing sunrise sessions, is that you really don't know what the weather's gonna be like when you wake up that morning. Because you're doing a sunrise session, you wake up, you look outside, and you're like, oh, it's pouring. That has been something in the past that has been pretty frustrating. So what I typically do is I am like always checking the weather. And if I think that the weather is going to be, or there's a chance that it could rain, or maybe we're in the middle of the winter, it could have a huge ice storm, I just contact my clients beforehand and I say, hey, I don't think this is gonna happen. I'm not really sure, but I just wanna let you know that the weather is kind of, it's saying some things. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'll let you know. Then the night before, I say either, hey, if everything's good, I'm like, hey, everything's great, can't wait to see you tomorrow. If the weather's still questionable, like it's not strong enough to say no, I just say, hey, I really think tomorrow's gonna be okay. It says 30% chance. I think we should go ahead and do your session. But just so you know, if I wake up and it is bad, I will contact you and I'll let you know. I like to know also how far away they are. If they're 2 hours away, obviously like I need to wake up early and check on that. But if they're only like 10 minutes down the road, I still give them plenty of time. That way they're not, in the middle of getting ready and then we have to cancel. Obviously, I want them to have the best pictures possible. So if it is literally like having a tornado in the middle of the morning or whatever, I want them to know like, hey, we'll reschedule, it's okay. But I do like to keep their session on, their session time as long as I can, because obviously we plan for them and they're excited about it and I'm excited about it and we want to go ahead and have their session. And honestly, most times it doesn't end up doing when it's like that 30% chance. But I always just like to be honest with my clients and tell them like, hey, I'm looking out for it. But it is something that you have to consider. And if where you live at, there is a high chance of just storms kicking up often and like that just happens and you have no clue, I would consider that when you schedule sunrise sessions, just because that can become a really big pain. All right, guys, so I hope that this has convinced you that sunrise sessions are the bread and butter of taking photos. I know it's early. I know that that's maybe not how early you want to get up, but I am saying that I love sunrise sessions, and some of my favorite images of my clients are at sunrise, and some of my favorite images of my family are at sunrise. I just suggest that you try out sunrise sessions. I love them. They're awesome. Tag me in your post whenever you do shoot a session at sunrise, and y'all be sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment below if you're a believer that sunrise sessions are amazing just really early. So anyways, thanks guys.